So, as you saw by the title of today's video, we're going to talk about how to open the eye of the heart. What I mean by eye of the heart is your intuition. This is what the mystics of old called intuition. The most missing part, or as Jung would have said, the most missing function in our Western rational society. And this is what I call the feminine. Nearly all of feminine, all of mythology, all of fairy tales, religions, they are concerned with this, and in the eye of the heart, or intuition, which bridges or communicates between you and the divine part in you and all around. So I'm going to be reading from an essay. This is a long essay, so I'm only, because we only got about 17 minutes, I think, on this camera. I'll just read the first two paragraphs and then I'll explain to you what I mean by this. How to open the eye of the heart. These are just simple instructions, practical instructions. This is why the channel is called The Art of Practical Mysticism. It's simply to give you some practical instructions so you can take away and do all this connecting with the divine, with the spirit, with the soul, yourself. And this is the true healing. When you make the connection to the numinous, whether you are working by yourself or whether you're working with a client, the healing comes when you finally reach that connection with the spirit, and the spirit has the opportunity to speak itself. So this can be done in dreams, this can be done in visions, this can be done in trance. That's why now it's very popular to use psychedelics like mushrooms or another psychedelic, because the psychedelic allows you to let go of your ego, let go of the world around you, all the things that are being placed on you, all the demands that are being placed on you from outside. It allows you to let that go and refocuses you on your inward, on the inward vision. Yeah. And this is really what it means by recovering the eye of the heart, of the intuition. Yeah. So without this, there is no spirituality. Spirituality simply means spiritual, or being in the spirit. And in the spirit speaks to you intuitively. And the core of the feminine is intuition. So like I said before, the feminine mind and the rational mind, the two different halves of your brain. The creative half and the rational half, the scientific half. Yeah? The scientific or the rational half has completely taken over. So the intuitive, the poetic mind, if you like, this is the part that's missing. This is the feminine part that's missing. The masculine we've got plenty of. The feminine which is missing. That's why all my videos, on my writing, on my books are about this recovery. This is what we need to heal, to be whole. To be whole means that you have found what you were always looking for outside of yourself. You have finally found within you. That's what it means to be whole. The two halves, the outside mind and the inner mind, the rational mind and the intuitive mind, are finally in balance. Not one or the other is being superior, but both are important. There's a saying that when the moon shines as brightly as the sun, the Messiah will come. You see, when the inner mind, the feminine mind, the intuitive mind shines as brightly as the rational mind, the Messiah is the one that brings the two together. They're in balance. Yeah? Okay, so I'll read you a little bit and then I'll talk to you a little more, because what do we got? Yeah, okay, we've got about 17 minutes. Anyway, so this is my essay. I'll put a link to it below. How do you open the eye of the heart and finally heal? The eye of the heart is intuition, right? Nothing must be important, and only that singular focus on one's inner eye of intuition and its spontaneous arising images. With practice, it becomes easier and easier, especially if you have your own dedicated space where no one is allowed and where you can be let alone for hours and days. This is very, very important, to have your own sacred space. This place, this room is for me that cave, that sacred space. Hardly anyone comes in here. This is just me and my work. Me and the spirit, if you like. And so, got my books there, the books that I read, my work, my painting, my internet connection, and this is where I wrote my books. And this is where I write the essays and the poetry, the mystic poetry that I post on social media. Everywhere happened here. Prior to this, when I lived from place to place a lot in my earlier years, I used to carry a notepad and pen with me, and that's when the things that I wanted to know, I had a question in my mind, I was seeking an answer to something, that's when the answers occurred to me intuitively, and I wrote them down in my pen and paper. I still got the notepads to this day, tens of them, many of them. I told you the story of the guy that gave me that tape recorder in Norway, the poet. See, a poet gave me a tape recorder. So that's, symbolic in itself, poetry being the intuitive mind. And he said to me, he gave me that little tape recorder. He says, I don't know what you have to do with it, but I know it's important for you to have it. When you're a mediator between the spirit and humanity, you need some way to catch the insights that are important for you to communicate to the community. So you can use the tape recorder for that. That's another way of opening the eye of the heart. You can use a notepad and pen like I did, or you can use the phone. The smartphones have the dictating function now. You can look up the app and open the app, and if something occurs to you, just speak into it directly. You don't need to remember everything, because when it occurs, when the vision occurs, when the insight occurs, when you get the answer, you might not remember the exact words, because it happens bang like this. Yeah. So this is all about opening the eye of the heart, or recovery of the feminine, the intuition. So I'll keep going. So this was the importance of having your own sacred space, like my little cave here. Okay. So this is when you're in your sacred space. You have your own little place where it's only you and spirit, yeah? Put on your favorite music. Grab your favorite book and begin to read. Not to understand the words and sentences, but to create that incubation state of trance. I was just telling you about that. That's why people take psychedelics. Catching insights from between two words. So this is death of the ego. You get out of your own way and let intuition lead the way. Where one word leads to the next word, one inner image leads to the next inner image. And in this way, you are following this invisible thread back to its inward source. You're following it back to your center. Because that's what you're doing. By recovering your intuition, you recover your own center. The core of the center is intuition, the feminine, okay? Leads inner image that leads to through following back inward center. Yeah, that state of trance through which the soul speaks itself through you. And if you don't let go of the connecting yarn, you might be rewarded with a big vision or deep dream, a gift of wisdom just for you. Exactly. You might be listening to this video and something just occurred to you in that moment of revelation. You had a question about something, or you were pondering perhaps what the name of why it's called the eye of the heart, and suddenly bang, you get it. That's why a lot of my work repeats itself, because it might not happen first time when you hear it, second or 10th or 100th time, but eventually there will be a moment where you get out of your own way, or there's no more thinking about the problems, or your kids, or your family, or your bills, or the work, or whatever it is that preoccupies your mind all day, and it's free long enough, and then suddenly it sinks in, and just bang, and you get it. That's when you catch the insights. That's when you can be sitting for hours and staring into space, and that revelation repeats itself over and over and over. And that's when you get the revelation, the next stage is integration of that revelation into your everyday life. If it's something important for you to do or to change or to grow, so you have to let go of the past and move forward. This is what people find most difficult, because it requires for you to make changes. Changes are painful, you know, when you have to let go of one way of living and start living another way. Like I said in my previous video, some people rush and you can't do it because it's too soon. There are too many, you're still involved in too many things. If you do it slowly and let it happen, it will eventually play itself out, and the change can implement itself into your everyday life. Yeah, you find people that have the same interest. You might find work or a hobby where you can put your new spiritual interest into practice. It all takes time. It all takes patience. If you try to cut it, you can do it that way. I've done it that way, but it's not easy, because you sort of cutting yourself off from all the things that you did for years and years and years. It's not easy that way. Slower, it's better. Okay, so here I go into integration. Let me have a look at the time. Okay, we've got about 5-6 minutes. Once a revelation comes through, then render in some tangible form and put it into a poem or painting or sculpture, whatever skills you have. That's important. For me, it was painting. This is the painting behind me, or the front of my books. The covers are my paintings. My paintings are, there's another one here, there's another one there, there's another one there. 2 in the living room, 1 in corridor, 1 in my bedroom, all over. I rendered the revelations that came to me first in art. Later it was in poetry. Later it was in prose, in essays, like this one. Yeah. Sometimes even in gardening, I caught myself doing a feature at the front. And what was the feature? The feature was a bird bath. A bird water, one of those things that and stands on a long leg, and it's got a ball of, when you fill it with water, that's a bird bath, right? But I planted trees in there. It sits right in the center of the front yard. Then I planted plants, flowers. What could be more symbolic of the center than this water feature for birds, out of which grow flowers? If you ever made it all the way to the center, you realize that some of the oldest images are there. There's the flowering tree, there's the water, the fresh water, there's a well perhaps, or a bubbling spring. Bird is one of the oldest images. Flowers, like I said to you, like I've shared to you the dream where I went into the cave and I saw the huge flowering tree. What was growing out of the tree? A huge flower with a golden stem. So, if you're working with gardening, and if you don't think about it, you just let your hands, your body take over, it will re-establish this. It wants to recenter itself. That's why Jung painted mandalas for so many years, because it recenters all your attention inward to the center. I know some of you, Sarah, she's started painting mandalas. There are mandalas everywhere now in Sarah's art. That's why it's important. These things recenter you. They heal you by recentering you. And in Native American tradition, not only Native American, but many Native traditions, they still to this day have the ritual of creating a mandala. And for instance, the person that needed to be healed sits in the center of the mandala. Can you see? So this is important. You have to render your insight in some kind of way, whether you render it into art, or like I did, into poetry later, or in prose. Writing is really good, but working with your hands seems to be better. What do we know? Okay, so we've got a few minutes, 3 minutes left. I'll keep going a little more. And I got a quote here from someone. Oh, this is Anne Baring. I'll read you the quote. Maybe I can manage in 3 minutes. What connects us to the invisible ground of the soul? It is the quest for meaning, experiencing differently in each individual life, which drives our longing to discover, create, explore, know and understand. But above all, it is a capacity to imagine, to make intuitive associations, to bring things together that have been fragmented and are felt to belong together. It is through our capacity to feel and to imagine that we are most closely connected to the soul of nature and the cosmos. It is developing the ability to see with the eye of the heart, often spoken of by poets and artists, that makes the connection with the reality initially beyond the reach of mind, acting like a plug connecting us to the socket of the deeper reality. And that's it. And the eye of the heart is your intuition. That's the feminine. In all of mythology, all of fairy tales, the treasure that the hero is looking for is the recovery of the soul. And the soul, the core of the soul, is intuition. That's the recovery of the feminine. And that's why in most of the mythology that we have is masculine or male mythology. It's a male that quests after the soul. But he recovers, when he recovers the soul, finally finds that it is a woman, it is female. And even in the earlier mythology, where women were questing for the soul, like in the story of Inanna going into the underworld, she went into the underworld. She wasn't recovering a male figure. She was recovering her own sister Ereshkigal. Okay, so that's all I wanted to talk to you about now, because the video is just about to end, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya.